This is CNN Breaking News.
All right, let's get right back to the AIG bonus mystery, and it's a huge mystery. Before those checks were even written, $165 million. Someone in Congress inserted a huge loophole allowing the bonuses to go forward. So far, no one is owning up, but we have some new developments. Let's go to our senior congressional correspondent, Dana Bash. Dana, what's happening?
Well, Wolf, we've been talking about this mystery of why, in effect, AIG was able to get these bonuses and why this happened during a stimulus debate, and actually the stimulus bill, why there was a clause put in that effectively made sure that the contracts that were in place for the past couple of years with companies like AIG, why those had to stay in place and why AIG had to give the bonuses. Well, here's what we have learned. We have learned from a Treasury official I spoke to who did not want to talk on the record but was auzed to speak to me. What they said is that the Obama administration, the Treasury Department, did actually raise the concerns and effectively pushed to have that clause put into this. Why? They say it is because they were concerned that the Treasury Department and the government would be sued if they prohibited companies like AIG from giving bonuses because the contract was already in place. What I was also told was that this was a back and forth between the Treasury Department and aides to Banking Chairman Chris Dodd, and that in the end, what the Treasury Department says is that they didn't actually explicitly ask for this clause, but that because they raised the concerns, the response from Senator Dodd's office was to put this clause in and effectively say that AIG and other companies who've already had their contract, that they would have to continue to pay their bonuses. Now, we asked Senator Dodd's office for a response to this, and we have something quite unusual and rather extraordinary. We actually have Senator Dodd with us right now. He wanted to come on live and respond to this because, Senator Dodd, first of all, thank you for joining us.
That's not so extraordinary.
Well, this is an extraordinary moment because I just want to actually point out to our viewers that our producer, Ted Barrett, asked if you knew anything about this clause being put in just yesterday, and you said that you didn't. You said you can't point a finger at somebody who offered a change at all, but the Treasury Department is saying that it was at their behest or their concerns, but your staff actually did do this.
Well, listen what happened here. We wrote the language in the bill to deal with bonuses, golden parachutes, excessive compensation, executive compensation. That was adopted unanimously by the United States Senate in the stimulus bill. That's what I would have liked to have seen maintained in the bill. But for that language, there would have been no language in the bill to deal with any of this at all, including language that allowed them to reach back. The administration, it's been widely reported, had problems with that amendment, as others did as well. And they came and said, we'd like to modify that amendment. The alternative, frankly, was to have happened to my amendment what happened to the Wyden-Snowe amendment, and that is it be dropped altogether. I was vehemently opposed to that. I was not a conferee, didn't have a vote or a voice in that conference. And so we agreed to the modification. However, the date is modified by saying the Secretary, if there are any provisions dealing with bonuses that are inconsistent with the TARP or contrary to public interest, they ought to be allowed to reach back. It's on that clause that the administration is now reaching back. So the modification occurred. It was at their suggestion. We wrote it together at the time, obviously, a month and a half ago. But again, I want to make the point. There were many who were highly critical of the Dodd Amendment on executive compensation, excessive compensation. I find it ironic that the very people who were critical of me putting that bill in a month and a half ago are now being critical, saying we went too far.
That may be true.
Not far enough.
I know Wolf has some questions, but if I could just follow up just on this point. You were very adamant yesterday, very adamant, that you didn't know how this change got in there, and now you are saying that your staff did work with the administration.
Going back and looking, and obviously, and I apologize to Ted